Hey everyone, Rich Dotson here with DynastyNerds.com here this week to give you my sneaky starts for week 2 of the season, just to help you make sure that you don't number 2 the bed versus your opponents this week. All right, here we are, guys, week 2 of the NFL season, and of course we already need some help, some sneaky starts. We have a lot of injuries already, a lot of players going down, maybe some bad matchups. So I'm going to give you a couple of my favorite sneaky starts for this week, week 2, to help you come away with that coveted W versus your opponents. First up, my guy, my favorite guy, Baker Mayfield, the Cleveland Browns. What a great week to get Baker in your lineup. And I know last week he didn't score a touchdown, and I know he threw that interception versus the Chiefs at the end that cost him the game, but he actually had a really nice game besides that. You know, he threw for 321 yards, averaged over 11 yards per attempt, which is very good as well. And this week he plays the Houston Texans. And the Texans right now, I mean, that team is just doo-doo butter. And I know they got the W last week, and I know they scored a lot of points, but that defense is still horrendous. We're talking about a team that gave up 332 yards to Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars during his first start of the season. If you're looking for a quarterback this week to come in, give you double-digit points, just probably score multiple touchdowns in the air, and have a big game and go for over 300 yards again, Baker Mayfield is that guy to get in your lineup this week for the Texans. The matchup is great. They want to get Baker rolling. I expect him to have a very solid game this week versus the Houston Texans. Get Baker Mayfield in your lineup. Next up is Jamal Williams, running back for the Detroit Lions. And we all knew this offseason, we heard the talk where the coaching staff said Jamal Williams was going to be a part of this offense. He's going to be their ground and pound guy. And DeAndre Swift owners were a little bit worried. I was not worried. I was curious to how they're going to use Jamal Williams. And the signs of how they used him was fantastic. So fantastic that Jamal Williams is currently sitting as the number 2 overall fantasy running back entering week 2 with a total of 25 points, tied with Joe Mixon. Because Jamal Williams, where he didn't lead the team in the backfield and carries, he didn't lead the team in targets at the running back position, he was heavily used there. This is great news for Jamal Williams owner, because where he did get the carries, which was we expected, was really surprising how much he was targeted in the game. This was a person who had 9 total targets behind DeAndre Swift's 11. And he had a total of 17 touches for 110 yards and a touchdown. This team is going to keep the game. They're going to like to keep the field short here. Dink and dunk. That's going to be Jared Goff's game, which really benefits the running backs. And if Jamal Williams is going to be involved in the passing game for PPR leagues, he has great running back 2 option for the rest of the year and flex play. He's a great sneaky start this week versus the Green Bay Packers, who've really, since going back to last year, the Green Bay Packers have been very mediocre at best when it comes to stopping the fantasy football running back. Last week, they gave up a ton of points last week, so look for the Lions, who are going to have to play catch up here because they have a totally bad defense as well, to keep the game going. A lot more dump-off passes to our guy DeAndre Swift, but also Jamal Williams. He's a great start this week versus the Green Bay Packers. Go ahead and get him in your lineup, and let's get that W. Next up, Tim Patrick of the Denver Broncos. Now, Tim Patrick is one of those nice and steady guys, right? The best ability is availability and then reliability. And Tim Patrick's one of those person you can rely on. Jerry Jeudy just went on the IR this week. He's going to be out for about 4 to 5 weeks with that high ankle sprain. And we saw Tim Patrick come in, 4 catches, 39 yards, and a touchdown. And this is something that he did pretty consistent last year. When Cortland Sutton tore his ACL last year, from week 3 on, this was a person that averaged 11.5 fantasy points per game. This week he has a really good matchup. He plays the Jaguars. The Jaguars aren't good at stopping fantasy football wide receivers. The Denver, we know that Teddy Bridgewater likes to keep things short. Tentative Teddy, right? And KJ Hamler is going to stretch the field. That's not really Teddy Bridgewater's game. So look for Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, and Noah Fant to be there and be viable weapons short. If you're looking for a player that can give you nice 8 to 15 points in a fantasy game with some more upside if he scores a touchdown, Tim Patrick is that guy. He's a great sneaky start this week versus the Jacksonville Jaguars to get into your lineup. Last but not least, Cole Kmet of the Chicago Bears, a player that we've been talking about a lot here at Dynasty Nerds. My partner, Garrett Price, loves him, thinks he's going to be a top tight end this year. And, you know, it's hard because a lot of tight ends take 3 years to develop. Cole Kmet, a super athletic second-round pick out of Notre Dame last year for the Chicago Bears. We know Matt Nagy's been looking for a tight end forever. They've been rostering a ton. trying to get a ton out there. He wants the tight end to be a part of this offense. It's how he runs his offense. And we've been talking about what's the tight end going to be for Matt Nagy. And we saw that Cole Kmet is that guy when they took him with the second round pick. And what's really encouraging is his target share. Last week, he tied Darnell Mooney for the second most targets on the team. He had 7, caught 5 of those for 42 yards. And now it's versus the Rams. And the Rams have a pretty good defense. This week, he plays the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals have been historically really bad versus the tight end. They're in the bottom third of the league when it comes up to giving up fantasy football production to the tight end position. This put Cole Kmet in a very good spot to possibly score a touchdown for your fantasy football team. If you're looking for a tight end help this week, whether because of a bad matchup, injury, or you just fade the position altogether, Cole Kmet is a great option. Get in your lineup to get double-digit fantasy football points. Throughout the season, it's important that we make sure we monitor the waiver wire system and these guys that could be on our bench that give us great matchups. This week, I had a person ask me, should I start Saquon Barkley or Myles Gaskin? You wanted to start Myles Gaskin, and we saw that with Saquon's 8 points. We're going to try and go through this throughout the year, find these sneaky starts for you on a week-in, week-out basis so you can come away with that coveted W every single week. Sometimes it's the not-so-obvious starts that make sure that you come away with that W. Let's get these guys in your lineups, and more importantly, let's get a W versus our Week 2 opponent to go either 1-1 or even better, 2-0.